Okay, good. So, so as Enrique has said, well, Cristina and I are going to present the first, or are going to be in charge of the first presentation, in which we're going to share with you what we've been doing in the game-based learning part of the project, which is one of the 4 methodologies we've been working on. So we're basically going to show you the different results we have had so far in the project during these 3 years, regarding the games we have designed. But before we do that, we want to give you like a super brief introduction on game-based learning, pluriliteracies, and mathematics, and why it is relevant to talk about this. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so well, game-based learning is not simply using games in the classroom. It's more than that. It's basically using games, but to enhance the learning process of students, the learning process of different contents. In our context, obviously, we're focusing on mathematical content, but it could be whatever subject we're working on. Okay, it could be English, could be science, geography, whatever. Okay. Well, also in relation to pluriliteracies, we could say that game-based learning has some important potential in this sense, because as probably all of you are familiar with playing either traditional games or video games, and if you look at your experience on that, you will be able to understand that playing a game is not only, for example, reading the instructions or listening to the other players deciding what to do. Sometimes it goes more, it goes beyond that and implies more different types of languages or meanings. Like, for example, sometimes the physical movements are also important, either in traditional games or in video games when you need to use your joysticks or your computer. So basically, when using games, we are using different types of languages and different types of meanings, and that is why by using games, we can help students put into practice these different types of literacies or these different types of skills. And also going a little farther, we could say that game-based learning also has a lot of potential in the mathematics class, because it helps promote what Cristina has been discussing a little bit before, which is deeper learning. Deeper learning is basically the possibilities of transferring the skills you learn to different contexts. Okay, so whenever you use a game in the math class, if it is like a well thought and well organized game, you can help students put into practice different mathematical skills that they will acquire and develop, and then they will be able to apply that to different contexts, not only academic, but also non-academic contexts. Okay, so having this super brief idea of GBL, pluriliteracies, and mathematics into account, let's focus now on the 3 different results or different products that we have developed during the project. So we have 3 different games. The first 2, the museum and the elemental gems, are basically video games. We'll discuss about them in a minute. And then we have the third one we have just finished, which is Terror Island, which is a more traditional type of game, but you will see that in a minute. Okay, so let's focus first on the first one, which is the museum. The museum, like I said before, is a type of video game, and the structure or the strategy followed is basically the escape room methodology, we could say. So initially we developed the game in English, but so far we have it in Spanish, Italian, and Dutch. So we have it in the 4 different languages in the same way. Okay. So, like I said, it's a escape room, a virtual or a digital escape room, in which students need to work on different mathematical content, but also they need to be solving different questions or different challenges so that they can continue and finish with the game. So at the beginning, they are presented with the story that, serves as the guide in the game. And basically, the story says that there is a museum in which some of the different paintings that they have been stolen. So the game basically asks you to help a detective solve the crime. Okay, so it starts presenting you different information about the game, and then later on it will present the different questions. So in all these slides in which you have the stories are like this one. We have some images basically to set some context for the story, and then you have like the story itself. But it is also important, these two icons that you have here, because that will help the players, development of the game. So the first one is the headphones. And here, just by clicking on it, you will have like an audio reading of the story for those students who have problems with reading. And also the second one, the book button, presents a short version of the text that you have in the slide. And this one is basically for those students who may be, difficulties or are struggling with either English or the language in which they are playing. So in all the slides that contain the story, you have these two icons to, like I said, help you continue. So once you progress in the story, you are presented with this slide in which you can see the structure, we could say, of the museum, which is the 4 different rooms. But so far, you only have access to the first room because, as I said before, it is an escape room, so you need to be progressing in the game to get access to the different rooms. Okay, so in the first one, questions are quite similar in model, we could say. They are basically multiple choice questions in which students simply need to choose the correct answer. The first one that we included is this one, which is, I don't know if you can see it from there. It says, what is a frame? This is the only, we could say, linguistic question, but we thought it was necessary to set, the context of the game, because the word frame is going to be repeated a lot of times in the game. But once they finish with this question, they move to more mathematically focused questions like these two that you can see here. Some of them include numerical answers, and other ones include more like graphical answers. But it is also important that, as you can probably see at the bottom of the 2 slides, once they respond to the questions and what they get the questions right, the different paintings will appear. So by the end of the room, all the paintings will have been recovered, like I said before, which is part of this story. Okay, this is the first room. Once they finish and once they complete it, they again are presented with the following part of the story. Again, they have the audio and the short text buttons. Then they get again to this slide, but now they have access to the second room. And again, they have very similar questions. Some of them are more like mathematically focused. Other ones present like more descriptive or graphical descriptions, we could say. But it is also important that in this second room, students are presented with these types of questions, in which they basically need to do something that the question says. Then they need to show it to the teacher, and if the answer is correct, they get a password or a code. In this case, it's a password that they need to continue to the following question or to the following room. Okay, in this case, they just need to draw a certain disposition that the game indicates. Okay. Then in the third room, again, they have like multiple choice questions and also questions in which they need to do different things. In this case, they need to create like a certain disposition using squared tiles that they are given. And again, if they have the answer right, they get the password. And then they move on to the final room, in which again they have multiple choice questions and questions in which they need to do different things. But this room is, we could say, a bit more complex because it's more focused on formulas and more on generalizing what they have been practicing in the previous questions. And again, here they need to do something to explain something to the teacher so that they can give them the password to continue. Okay. And also the final thing about the game is that we have included this button at the very first slide, which is direct access to the rooms. And this one is thought for the teachers because as the game itself is designed to be used in the classroom, sometimes teachers might want to focus on a specific room without needing to go all over the story again. So if you go to this slide, you can simply go to, for example, I don't know, room number 3, if that's necessary. Okay. So that was the game. But we also developed a document which includes the guidelines for teachers. And this document, again, is also in English, Spanish, Italian, and Dutch. And here we basically include like an explanation of every single slide or every single screen of the game. And also at the very beginning, obviously we include the, the QR codes to access the game, okay? Obviously it includes for the story slides, we could say, the short version of the text, and also the, for the questions, the answer, obviously. And for those questions that need or require a password or a code, it also includes it there. And also you may have noticed that at the beginning of the guide, we include 2 QR codes. And this is basically because, as you have seen, the game is mainly thought to be used in the classroom with the help of the teacher. But we thought that it was also interesting to develop it as a kind of autonomous game for students themselves. So that is why we included a second QR code with which students can access this other version of the game. Is super similar, but we have basically omitted those questions in which they need to get a password or some guides from the teacher. But basically, it is the same. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the second game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can move the computer.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, well, in the case of the second game, the mathematical content is similar because it's also about generalization. But in this case, this game is more for autonomous work, even though in our case we have also used it in the context of a classroom. Okay, we have again the 4 versions of the game in the 4 languages, and we included something that was not in the first version that we had. That is the headphones with with the sound, with the narration of the story. In this case, the story is that you are an adventurer, and you are requested to find the gems to have the super sword in order to defeat a dragon, okay, a final monster. So as you can see here, it's like, help us. Only someone like you could do it. And well, if you say that that you don't really want, you are say like, really, you're deceiving me. But if you say yes, you start the story. So to have some, some humor here. So each of the gems that conform the sword is connected to an element. And also here, the type of activity is connected to, as I said, to generalization. So it's the idea is that the first magician brings a gem, the second magician brings 2 gems, the third magician brings 3 gems. So to know the number of gems, if you know the number of magicians, or the number of magicians if you have a number of gems. Okay, so based on this, we have different types of activities. In this case, is multiple choice, but you have a visual aid, as you can see here. So this is an example. Okay, in the case of the earth, in the case of water, this acts, as a way to look for the numbers, and you can only click on the right one. Okay, then the gem of air, the gem of fire, that you need to look for the gems. And when you have the sword, you can defeat the dragon. Okay. In here, we also have the guidelines for teachers. Okay. With all the solutions to all the to all the questions, and also with some support because we have detected some difficulties that students may have, so in order to support the teachers. Okay, and here, as a kind of spoiler, we have the first version of the last activity that we have, that is the Terror Island, that in this case it works as a kind of Mimo game, but with some conditions. Okay, and this is a physical game to play in the classroom, and the idea is that you have a boat, and you need to save the survivors that are in an island. But there are some conditions, because then when you add another boat, you lose some of the seats. Okay, so depending on this, and the more you get, you have a certain formula to add more survivors, and also with the gaming component that if you find a spider or a piranha, you lose one of your survivors. Okay. So you will, you will know more about this when it's revised by the maths team. Okay. So, well, as you can see here, these are the conditions, and again, we have the guidelines for the teachers. Okay. And some final remarks to attach ourselves to time. In our experience when testing the games, both with teachers, pre-service and in-service teachers, but also in a classroom with students aged 10, 12, we consider that this type of games make the maths class more relaxed. Okay, so their motivation increases, and you know, even though we too are not mathematicians, our perspective is that all this story, all this narration that encompasses, you know, the three games also support the learning process and facilitate the, you know, this idea of deeper learning. Okay, so thank you very much. And, you know, if you want, if you have any question or something, we can see it, you know, after the other presentations. Okay, thank you.